Hello friends, welcome to another Smiling Colors video. I'm Smita, also known as the Shiny Nest on Instagram, and in today's tutorial we're going to be creating watercolor backgrounds for cards. You can use these backgrounds for any purpose really, but today I'm going to be creating cards to celebrate World Card Making Day. I also have a giveaway at the end of this video, so stay tuned for it. Watercolor backgrounds are so easy to create, and every background is unique to itself. The process is a little bit like an experiment. You never know what you'll end up with, but you're sure to have fun along the way. What you will need to create these backgrounds. You will need water-based markers or watercolors. I'm using Tombow dual brush pens, and I'm challenging myself to use just 3 colors for today's entire video. Make sure you use a good quality paper. I have Strathmore watercolor paper that is 140 pounds in weight. I've cut these into 4.5 by 6 inch rectangles. You will need a paintbrush or an aqua brush, some water, and a few paper towels. Let's start with background number 1. This one is the coolest of them all. I started by simply drawing concentric circles of color, and then with my wet paintbrush I started in the center and started moving the colors outwards. I blended them just a bit, and this time I was careful to stop quickly. But to add a fun texture, I then sprinkled salt all over the wet paper. I've heard about adding salt to your watercolor a few times before this, but this is my first time and I tried it. Man, you can see the results almost instantly. So this one dried the best. You definitely must give this technique a try. Now moving on to background number 2. To create this, I just used one color, the darker purple color. Apply the marker to the top portion of the paper and then dip your brush into water and start spreading the color. Tombow dual brush pens are water-based, and hence the color pigment we applied reacts with the water to create a watercolor look. Now wet the bottom of the paper by painting with water, and then slowly have the color meet in between by adding circles. You can move the color easily at this point because it's wet color on wet water, but really the less you move the color, the more dramatic your results are going to be in the end. I also splashed some droplets of water and tried speeding up the drying with the heat tool. I also pressed a clean paper towel onto it and tried to dry it sooner, but I didn't really like how it turned out. So I added more color, and then again with the water I softened the marker lines. Honestly, it looks like a mess right now, at least that's what I thought, but after it dried I actually loved how it looked. So you never know, everything surprises you. Background number 3. To create this one, I started by drawing circles and shapes with both the purple markers. I didn't have a pattern in mind, but you could definitely make a pattern here. I was just looking to add color. Next, with the water, I spread the colors just a bit. And now let's add a background. I scribbled the yellow and then spread that all around to fill in the blank areas. I left a thin white area around the purple shapes, but you could blend the yellow into them instead too. I love how playful this one looks, and this one was much more relaxing to paint because I had a bit more control over the color movement and pattern. Now on to background number 4. This is an easy one again. I simply drew overlapping circle outlines with the 3 colors and then added water with my paintbrush and simply let the colors move and blend on their own. This one turned out to be the most artsy one of them all, and it's kind of looking like a painting on its own. This one dried beautifully too, and this one is my second favorite of them all. Background number 5. I drew leaf-like shapes all over the paper. It is fall season in the United States after all, so I had to draw leaves. And then with water I colored each leaf in. Next I added a few details with marker tip of the dual brush pen and then softened those with the water as well. Finally I colored over half of the leaf again to intensify the color and add some more drama. And that's it. This one didn't surprise me. I knew how the leaves would turn out, but I was happy with the results. Now chugging along to background number 6. This one started with a pattern of dots. I added more with the light purple and then a few rows of the darker purple. Then I watered everything and painted water lines across and lifted the card up and let the water run down like tiny rivulets. This was really cool to watch. I wasn't sure how it would turn out, but it was fun to create for sure. I then painted water in stripes in the opposite direction as well and let the water run. Very soft colors, and it dried to create a cool pattern. Final background. This one is an easy mode one as well, and it dries so beautifully. I drew diagonal stripes on the paper with all 3 colors of the marker. Then I painted over each stripe with the water, leaving a thin space of white in between the stripes. That's it. Super easy and super cool to watch the colors run into each other a bit and blend in areas. And here's a quick flip through of how all these backgrounds dried. I wasn't sure about a few of these while they were wet, but true to watercolor style, you never know what it will look like after drying. And now we'll make these into cards. To do that, you will also need some sheets of cardstock, a paper trimmer, a bone folder. This one is really useful to make cards. Tombow Extreme Adhesive, Tombow Mono Multi-Liquid Glue. I also have 2 dies that I plan to use, a rectangle one and an alphabet one. This is the Mono Twin Permanent Marker, great to use on watercoloring. I also have a scissors, and to finish off my card, I chose a bunch of Nuvo crystal drops as well. I first die cut all of the backgrounds using the Lawn Fawn Stitched Rectangles die. Rectangle dies are a great way to cut your backgrounds to card size, and I love the little stitch detailing it adds. It's these subtle details that make a handmade card feel special. For my sentiments, I die cut a bunch of alphabets using this Lawn Fawn alphabet die. I just went overboard and die cut a huge amount of them. Using my trimmer, I cut thin strips of cardstock for my sentiments. I love hand lettering, so I hand lettered these sentiments. I lettered a bunch of them at once, and I love how this simple thanks turned out. I used the Mono Twin Permanent Marker. It's a crisp black marker. It is oil-based and will not mess up the watercoloring. I like to hand cut my sentiments and give them this little notched V ends to make a banner, and I used a small pair of scissors for that. Next, trim each cardstock into half and fold in the center. This makes 2 4.25 by 5.5 inch note cards. The bone folder really helps to create a nice sharp fold. Now let's assemble a card. Adhere the watercolor background to the card base using the Tombow Extreme adhesive. There is one trick though. This is a super strong adhesive, so you can't easily lift the runner off the paper without jamming it up. So instead, you need to swipe to the right and off the paper. If you remember this one simple trick, this will soon become your favorite adhesive. Now I also have alphabets here to spell the word thanks, and the best way to adhere these small die cuts is with the Tombow Mono Liquid Adhesive. I add a tiny amount of the glue to the back of each alphabet, and I actually let it dry a minute or 2, and then place them onto the card. If you wait a few minutes and let the glue go tacky, then it's less likely to squirt out from underneath when you add it to the card. This glue has been a go-to glue of mine ever since I started paper crafting. It is a gem. Finally, the last step was to add Nuvo crystal drops onto the die cut itself. I traced the letters carefully to apply the Nuvo drops. These add a glossy finish to the card, and I love how they turned out. Making handmade cards makes me really happy, and it is the season of giving, so I like to have a stack of cards on hand to give to teachers, friends, and family. Now I turned each and every one of those watercolor backgrounds we created in this video into cards, and I have photos of all of them over my blog smilingcolors.com. Stop by there to see all the details, the supplies, and to enter the giveaway. Yes, you can win a set of dual brush pens just for yourself. I love these pens. There are so many different ways you can use them, so make sure you stop by my blog to see all the giveaway details. Let me know in the comments below what you're doing this weekend, and share any card you make from this tutorial on social media with me. Please tag me at The Shiny Nest. I would love to see them. Before I leave, I have a quick request for you. Please share this video with a friend, in a group, or on Facebook if you enjoyed it and think that someone else might too. Hope you have a great weekend and happy crafting.